مراد التجاني محمد حاج الخادم.
حذيفة محمد عبد الله.
Wendell Daniel from Street Cam Documentary coming to you live and direct from central London, where the Sudanese community are holding a candlelit vigil outside of 32 Smith Square in recognition of the martyrs Have you just returned from Sudan?
Yes, I've returned from Sudan. Basically,
how long ago?
I came on June the 9th. On that same day, I did get chased by Janjaweed myself.
Tell me something. Describe what it was like. People who are watching this are going to be amazed at what you're saying. But we've all heard about the Janjaweed and what they're like. But tell me, describe. Look in the camera and describe exactly what it was like to be chased, knowing that potentially your life is at risk.
Subscribe, comment, and hit the thumbs.
What does justice mean to you?
I think justice means holding into account Hemeti and the likes and the people within the RSF and the military who are responsible for this.
I always thought is the whole revolution, the uprising is staged by them, so they can rebrand themselves and come as they just wanted to come under a new name and come under a new umbrella.
It's very important to be educated on this stuff, because no one's putting anything out there, you know.
What do you mean by you want to educate yourself and no one is putting anything out there? What do you want to be put out there? How old are you, first of all?
I'm 15.
So you're 15. So at 15 years of age, what information are you looking for? Don't forget, if you like the channel, give me the thumbs up, make your comments and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, you must switch on your personalized notification button to ensure that you get your notification every time Street Camp Documentary has made an update.
Switch off the TV or the movie and listen to me. Tell you about the catastrophe happening in Sudan, and for 1 minute try to imagine their reality. I keep thinking that as a diaspora it's hard for me. As the whole diaspora sits and watches, tears in our eyes, hearts in our mouths. Meanwhile, you fight for us out on the streets, hearts on your sleeves. The blood of our brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers spill on the streets. We're glued to our phones, our updates from tweets. You're struck and alone, the martyrs dragged out by their feet. You reach for your sister, she's cold at the touch, her hands even limper, and before you can clutch her, a tug at your sleeve. They're getting much closer, we really must.
Our purpose for today is to equally cultivate a space that is both educational and healing. I became friends with Martyrs around 2012 through a mixture of mutual friends and online communities that we had set up. This January, as I always do, I texted him to tell him that I was in Sudan. That night, the area where he lived in had been on fire, and he texted me saying he felt really ill after all the tear gas that he inhaled that day. Already I felt a swarm of guilt. I thought about how we both spent that day, him fighting for our people, me trying out new milkshakes in new restaurants around Sudan. I mentally prepared myself for meeting him, and I wondered what state he might be in, if he would want to talk about anything or not. I told him, if you're sick, let's meet another day. I'm here for 2 weeks. He said, no, I'm on my way to pick you up from Ozone and we'll go to Sharat al-Nil. No matter what was happening, he made time for people that he loved. And I got inside his car and he was listening to a psychedelic podcast about what it felt like to eat sounds and to smell colors. I didn't question this. I just sat back and smiled at how easy it was to slip back into things with him without the pressure of needing to catch up or act in a certain way. He always let you arrive as yourself unapologetically, which shouldn't be revolutionary, but in this world it is. And I will continue to search in others the peace that he made me feel within myself. I try to introduce as much as my friends to Motor. I always feel really anxious about mixing people together and whether the energies will mix. But he's somebody I could leave with anyone, and when I came back, they would be best friends. The questions that people ask you when they choose what box they want to put you in: where are you from? Where have you lived? How long have you lived there? Do you go to university? Are never questions he would ask people when he was trying to get to know them. He simply was not interested. He would rather know what you've been listening to lately and which songs make you feel inspired to write a book and what your favorite color was. Yes, today we are wearing blue online and offline to raise awareness and to bring light to our country that's fighting for freedom, justice, and peace. But let it also tell us that we need to show more love to each other, to let people know how much we appreciate and need them, to feel more confident within ourselves and our capacity to bring change, and most importantly, to enjoy ourselves as we try to fight for a better world. It's what Motor would have wanted. I tried to introduce as many of my friends to Motor, and now you all know him. In February, we went to go and see Slum Village perform. I'm so glad I nagged him to go. He began by politely turning down my offer, saying that he was not trying to go to any more English-speaking concerts anymore. I told him to stop being annoying, and we bought his ticket. And when he found out how many concerts I go to, he said, "Damn, you really do not miss a thing." I told him I have him sorted for when he comes back from Sudan, and that I plan to take him to Regent's Park and to the community hubs in London that make him feel more at home. Shepherd's Bush. I thought we had all the time in the world. At the protests outside Parliament on April the 6th, I said bye to you as I walked to the tube. I didn't know it would be the last time I saw you.
You know that there wouldn't be tomorrow, no, but we'll sing. But the bells will ring for you. So far to go, but you already reached your light on new beginning. Chapters were written out for you. Down here we're hurting from our broken heart, trying to figure out how this is real, 'cause you're never coming back down. You belong to the stars and the clouds.
So why was it important for you to come down here today to show solidarity?
I think just as a whole community, when you bring a whole community together, you feel like you're back home. Especially seeing everyone here that's Sudanese, and not even Sudanese, like there's non-Sudanese people as well. Just bringing that unity together makes you feel like you're back home with your people. So I think that's the best part about all of this. Yeah.
Excellent answer. And I can tell this young lady here, she's there smiling, she's there embarrassed. Are you shy?
You're not shy.
I'm not, no.
You're not shy?
Not necessarily.
I know you're always on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. So talk to me.
Right.
Why are you here?
We're trying to paint the world blue for our brothers and sisters.
What, you want to paint the world blue
yes.
like a Tory?
No, definitely not that. There was a martyr who, on one of his Instagram posts, he said, "We want to paint the world blue," and sadly he died. And the blue represents everyone who died for their nation, and we won't let their deaths go in vain.
So tell me, last week in Sudan, well over 100 innocent protesters were slaughtered.
Yes, they were.
How did that make you feel personally?
I mean, considering I was there only 10 days before that happened, it broke my heart. Like, you should have seen the people who sat there in that sit-in. They were women, children, just people who were like from all walks of life. They didn't deserve that in any way. But yeah.
So you were at the protest site yourself, in Khartoum by the military base?
I haven't been there yet. No, I was around those places though.
Oh right, then, no, the reason I asked because I was in Khartoum myself.
Really?
6 weeks ago.
No way.
So yes.
No,
so,
me and my sisters, we study there.
So I fully understand. So this young lady here is your sister.
Yeah.
You are shy, aren't
I am
you?
indeed, yeah.
But I'm going to relax you and you're going to feel so good. So tell me, why are you outside tonight at this sombre location?
To be honest, I feel like it would be wrong for me not to be here because we shouldn't let the people who died. Sorry, I'm really embarrassed. I'm really shy. Sorry.
No problem. No problem.
We would not forget the martyrs that we lost. They are brothers and sisters at the end of the day, and there have been horrific crimes that have been happening in Khartoum, and it's like I don't know what the world has come to. It's actually ridiculous. It's heartbreaking to see. And the fact that our people are still fighting, considering that they have lost their family, they have lost their brothers and sisters, they have literally been torn apart. They are still going, and they're still going out there and they're protesting. It shows that we are united, and we won't stop until we get justice.
What does justice mean for you?
I think justice at this point is getting our freedom, because our people in Sudan, they are not free right now. They're literally tied down. And we need to stop this. We need to help our brothers and sisters. If you are human, you will literally support this. There's no more to it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I always thought is the whole revolution, the uprising is staged. Is staged by them, so they can rebrand themselves and come as a. They just wanted to come under a new name and come under a new umbrella. And right now, as you can see what's happening, they've got this guy who is known to be I would call it a terrorist group that is operating in the west of Sudan. Now they got him, he's in power now, and they call themselves the Rapid Support Forces, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it doesn't make any sense. Anyone there who can read politics, you don't need to be a politician to know this. You just need to be able to make sense out of things. It doesn't make any sense.
That is a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And as you know, I like to be devil's advocate, but what evidence do you have to support your belief that it was staged so that the Janjaweed can rebrand themselves as the
It's the Sudanese government, previous government, collaborating with Janjaweed to come under new name and have this new brand and steal all these years of hard work that people were trying. I'll tell you why I think there's no evidence. I haven't got paper evidence to show you, but if you think about the rapid, the speed or the pace of which the events happen in Sudan, it was very quickly from al-Bashir stepping down to the second one coming after, and then the third one coming after him. It's a very quick pace, and that made ways to al-Janjaweed to come, made ways to Hemeti, to come and be on the face of this now. He's the face of the revolution now, which is not. It's all cooked by them. It's a very slow cooker. But
I'm here outside of the European Union building because I think you know, if you look at the role of Britain and the European Union in propping up the regime in Sudan, I think they have culpability in what's happened in supporting a regime that's now massacred people who are fighting for democracy and freedom. So I'm here to support the Sudanese struggle for democracy and freedom and hold the people responsible for what's going on there closer to me to account, and that being the British government and the European Union.
So after the massacre occurred last week, how did you feel?
On the one hand, I think there was a worry that it could go in this direction, to be honest, because, you know, you think about the Egyptian revolution in 2011 and, you know, what happens when the army is allowed to be able to take agency away from the people. It wasn't something that was surprising, but to be honest as well, I was incredibly moved by it and so on. To hear the stories from people who have relatives who were killed, or even people who don't know where their relatives are, to hear the stories of what had happened, you know, the raping of young girls and so on. I feel absolutely disgusted, but also, you know, incredibly moved by it, and the resilience and the spirit of Sudanese people, not only in Sudan, but also in this country as well, fighting for justice.
What does justice mean to you?
I think justice means holding to account Hemeti and the likes, and the people within the RSF and the military who are responsible for this. I think it also means actually, you know, supporting the demands that frustrated the military in the first place, which is that people want power to the civilian assemblies. This is why people came out onto the streets. Actually, not in the first place. This is something that started with a demand for bread and, you know, radicalized and escalated to what it became. But I think, you know, justice is also, you know, delivering the demands of the people. But I think, you know, Sudan is leading an example in showing that actually you need to take it for yourself.
It's very important to be educated on this stuff, because like no one's putting anything out there, you know.
What do you mean by you want to educate yourself and no one is putting anything out there? What do you want to be put out there? How old are you, first of all?
I'm 15.
So you're 15. So at 15 years of age, what information are you looking for?
I'm looking for what's happening, the atrocities that are being committed in Sudan. Like, we need to stand with these people. Like, I'm a Zimbabwean and South Africa, like around there. And I feel like we need to stand together and we need to fight the evil forces that have divided Africa. And I think we need to start here in Sudan, and we need to stand with these people to make sure everyone has democracy and freedom.
Tell me something. You are 15 years of age and you appear to be politically aware. Why is that?
Because my parents, they've always told me the importance of education, and especially my father. He's Zimbabwean side of the family, and he's always told me about what's happening. He's always kept me informed, and I've always been interested in that, and I decided to come here today.
Excellent stuff, but thank you very much. And this is your first protest, this is your first interview. Yes? Are you going to go on Street Cam documentary?
Yes.
Yeah? So are you going to make sure you check it out?
Yeah.
So what are you going to say to other people who are watching this? Must they also watch Street Cam?
I think they should.
Yeah, and why do you think they should?
Because it's good.
The Grand Symphony, hitting me with an epiphany, orchestrating the slick way that I move swiftly, analyzing what's on my scope and the tip of my periphery. The president is a frog, slimy and slippery, the abhorrent man who served a warrant to continue an expedition into Johannesburg. This man deserves extradition. He evaded the AU, just elated, they're corrupted and easily persuaded. Crime ain't to be debated. Coward got his head inflated. The NCP got traded at the ICCU. Made it in the ICU. Your life is through on his ECG. He be green, deceased on the RV. And on the ventilator, C4 is rigged to end the traitor. He saw the numeral clock. Only to wonder when his tumoral pop. Facing cardiac arrests and numerous stops. Flatline and humor you drop. You're a cancer spreading to the brain. Using corruption to further your aims. And murder for gain to bring dysfunction and pain. Robbery and poverty. Atrocities of authorities. Some of the horrors be connoted slaughter. Raping mothers and daughters, killing southern brothers on borders, raping Darfur, blaming the war, genocide on Janjaweed is just freedom, plans to siege, but who gave them the weapons, I reckon? Thinking this for a second, no second guessing on this ethnic cleansing, they're clear as day in their vicarious ways, nefarious plays and other various raids, where death is bearing the shade, we're sharing the rage, they put the leader in the Congress, paint a pretty picture to the wrong press, or afflict Satan to interject the death, they under stress, sweating on the sunken neck, their deception is covered in cover that blind to their public rep. So, that was just detailing all the atrocities that the previous regime committed, but the same applies to this regime.
Have you just returned from Sudan?
Yes, I've returned from Sudan. Basically.
How long ago?
I came on June the 9th. So
you come 5 days after the massacre?
Yes. I came on April the 29th. And the reason I came was because my father was part of the first attempted coup against the Bashir regime. And unfortunately, it didn't succeed. And the army officers, there were 28 army officers who, as I said, they attempted to bring about change in the country because they already knew that this was a corrupt government run by Islamists and run by very corrupt individuals. In fact, they started their reign off with a murder of a well-known doctor. So they knew straight away what this regime was about. Unfortunately, there was some betrayals that led to them handing themselves over, thinking everything was okay. They were just going to be imprisoned and tried fairly, but they weren't. Mm-hmm. Immediately afterwards, they were taken to a detention cell, and the same day they were executed. They were executed by a firing squad, and some of the officers were still alive in the hole that was dug up by the perpetrators who committed this atrocity. So for me, it was imperative that I went to attend the revolution, or at least attend the sit-ins. So I needed to be there. Mm-hmm. And that particular day, I was just coming back from a memorial service for the 28 Martyrs of Ramadan. So it was on April 1990, 24th of April 1990. So it was actually before I was born. I never saw my father. So anyway, I came back from I performed there. It was at a hotel, and I had a friend with me that came for the event specifically, but he soon went. He went to the sit-in area afterwards. I didn't know that he was going. He just got the Uber equivalent in Sudan and just went right to the sit-in area. I don't really know Sudan that well, so I can't go by myself. I have to go with family and stuff, and no one was going at the time. I just went back to my grandma's house in Durman, and my cousin was asleep. My cousin, normally I'll go with him to the sit-ins, or my other cousin was outside and he got chased.
Chased by whom?
Chased by the same people who committed these atrocities, the same type of people anyway. Uh-huh. So The Janjaweed, basically, yeah.
So did this actually occur at the protest site outside the military base?
This wasn't in the protest. This was elsewhere. He got chased. I think he got beaten. That's what my aunt said, and she was just like, they've just dispersed the sit-in. 5 people have died, and I had the intention of going in the morning or in the afternoon, but the thing is, it was difficult because it's Ramadan, so we're fasting and it's quite hot. I've been there a few times during Ramadan. I went to Jummah prayer there, and so after Ramadan I was planning to be there every single day. But that particular day I wasn't there, and who knows what would have happened. But on that same day I did get chased by Janjaweed myself.
Tell me something. Describe what it was like. People who are watching this are going to be amazed at what you're saying. But we've all heard about the Janjaweed and what they're like. But tell me, describe, look in the camera and describe exactly what it was like to be chased, knowing that potentially your life is at risk.
So we were just sat outside a coffee shop or a coffee area where the woman makes tea, coffee, ginger, and I was just sat with a group of people in the neighborhood, and I was showing them my song. I was there with my cousin as well, and he gave me back my phone. That's when I heard this weird war cry, like out of a video game, and I knew something was up. Initially, beforehand, we were setting up barricades in the neighborhood, so that kind of brought their attention.
But how do you know it was the Janjaweed?
Because they've rebranded themselves. They used to be, they rebranded themselves to the RSF.
That's correct.
They were formerly known as the Janjaweed. A lot of them were child soldiers. When I looked at them, so they just pulled up on us. Once I heard that war cry, they pulled up on us.
What war cry? Describe the war cry.
It was almost like a Mohican Indian type war cry. And once I heard it,
you knew?
I knew there was something up. So they pulled up on us. There was a convoy of 4 pickup trucks with Gatling guns, with RPGs, and we just ran as fast as we could into an abandoned building.
Tell me, describe. You got the Janjaweed or the Rapid Support Forces nearby. You're running. Describe to viewers what that was like.
Oh, my heart was pounding. I wasn't necessarily scared of death. I was more scared of how my family would react if I had died. So I just ran as fast as I could, and we were in an abandoned building. I was being directed by other people in the neighborhood where to go, where to hide, because they know the neighborhood very well. So we were just in the building for a little while, and I dropped my phone at the time.
Was that your mobile?
It was my mobile phone.
So did you go back for it?
Eventually, and I got it back. But once the coast was clear. And then they did another round.
What was it like once you went into that building? What were you thinking? What was going through your mind?
Well, I was like, well, if it comes to it, it's us or them. But it was a dark building, so there would have been stray bullets that would have been flying around everywhere, and I don't know what would have happened.
At that time, you know death could be near. Did you pray?
Funnily enough, no, I didn't.
Why not?
I just didn't think of it at the time. That wasn't in my head. For some reason, I was just thinking about getting my phone back. But with all honesty, that was the case. But I probably should have prayed at the time, but it's just not on my mind. So, yeah.
So now you are back here in London. You heard what happened in regards to the mass killings.
See, I went through the sit-in area myself. We drove through it a few times, I secretly took some photos.
Yeah.
And it was just complete and utter devastation. You
And
could
that
smell
was
the burning.
that was after the event, yeah?
That was not immediately after, like maybe a day or two after, because I needed to get back to Bahri, because I was in Durman. All my stuff was in Bahri, like my passport and everything, and I was staying with my aunties there as well. That was closest to the sitting area. Basically, as I passed through, it was just filled with RSF forces everywhere. It looked like the military had been just had abandoned the place, because beforehand they were patiently waiting, the RSF.
And where was the protesters at this time?
There were no protesters. They were cleaning up the site. They were cleaning
dispersed.
up the ruins. Everything that they did. I couldn't get footage of it because it was too risky.
Of course.
But they were cleaning up the sitting area, trying to hide all the evidence and everything that they'd done. So,
now you've returned to London. How are you feeling at this moment in time, knowing what's happened back home?
I'm extremely concerned because the country's under siege. There's Janjaweed everywhere. The types of weaponry that they have,
I've seen it.
Insane.
Yeah.
And the army is nowhere to be seen. They've demilitarized the army. The weapons that the army had are now in the hands of the Janjaweed.
How are you feeling? I saw there were tears in your eyes.
I was pretty moved. It was really healing and really nice to see that obviously I wasn't alone in feeling how I was feeling about what's been happening. And it's been really moving to see that there's people showing their solidarity with us and showing that we're not alone in this, and that there's so much power in numbers. Yeah.
Excellent. And I haven't seen a tear drop from your friend's eyes yet. How
People
you feeling?
process things in different ways. Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling just overwhelmed with everything that's been happening. I definitely do find it hard to just cry, because it's a lot, because I feel like if I start crying I won't be able to stop. So yeah.
How have you been able to process what's happening since last week?
I think this reaffirms that none of us are free until all of us are free, and it's really nice to see sort of collective organising happening right here, and I feel like now more people are awakened around this subject, so it's good.
Thank you. And anyone with a provision at this time that I'd ask you to let them go? Okay, thank you so much for that. If you want to blow your candles and sit.
What's really amazing about this candlelit vigil today is the powerful stories that were told by the numerous people who have suffered as a direct result of the killings that have taken place in Sudan. And what we did hear earlier on is a gentleman whose father was killed in Sudan. He was one of the first 28 martyrs a number of years ago, and he said quite clearly that his dad died when he was only 4 months in his mum's belly, and he had never met his father. And what he decided to do, he decided he had to go to Sudan only a few weeks ago to be part of the campaign which was taking place outside of the military base in Khartoum, and that was such an amazing story he told. He told me the story about when he was over there with his friends and the Janjaweed came after him and he had to run for his life because he knew he would be killed. And that was an amazing testimony. We also had a testimony from a young lady whose friend was also killed by the Janjaweed. And today's sombre protests, candlelit vigil, has been very well attended. There has been no chanting. Numerous people, mainly ladies, who have been leading the campaign, they've been making speeches, and as we can hear directly behind me, let's listen. As we can hear, a young lady has just made a speech, and more people will be speaking down here tonight, and it is an amazing event. It is an amazing event, and the Sudanese community are coming together week by week. The number of people are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it is brilliant. But one thing I want you guys to remember is that if you like Street Cam Documentary, make sure you subscribe. It's important you subscribe, and then you will get your regular updates. But when you do subscribe, you must make sure your personalized bell button, so your personalized notification must be switched on. So when you do that, you can ensure that every single update that is made on Street Cam Documentary, you will get a notification. So don't forget, if you like the channel, give me the thumbs up, make your comments and subscribe. And if you do subscribe, you must switch on your personalized notification button to ensure that you get your notification every time Street Cam Documentary has made an update. Don't forget that if you have an issue that you would like Street Cam Documentary to raise awareness about, please contact the channel at streetcamdocumentary@gmail.com.